Welcome to Secretly Sporty. I am your host, Sebastian Langdell, and I'm joined here with my co-creator, Austin Ratcliffe. How's it going, Austin?
Hey, Sebastian. I'm good. How are you? What have you been up to?
I'm good. It's nice and sunny here in Austin, Texas today. I went for a run, and I also saw my physical therapist, Andrew, today, which I'm always pretty excited about.
I think that's the first time anyone has ever said that, but cool. What is exciting for you about going to physical therapy?
For me, it's like a negotiation with my skeleton. I'll go in, I'll tell him about what aches and pains I have. You know, he'll test my joints, he'll tug really hard here and there, and he'll kind of just like put everything back into alignment in an amazing way. And then we just do these hyper-specific exercises. I love just knowing that these precise exercises that I'm doing, which are usually pretty exhausting, are also just exactly what I need at that moment.
Do you have a favorite precise exercise?
You know, I gotta say, it forces me into the lower body a lot more.
Oh, you skip leg day. I should have guessed.
It's got time. But yeah, no, it forces me into like these parts of my body that otherwise I would not attend to as much, which is probably why it's so good. How about you? What are you working on? What have you been doing exercise-wise?
HIIT workouts are kind of my staple, and I've been doing those pretty regularly. I also went for a pretty brisk walk, and I live in a hilly neighborhood, so it definitely got the heart rate up, and it was really nice. I've been trying to get back into like walking and running because I kind of went all in on tennis and HIIT workouts, and I sort of missed what walking does for my inner monologue, which is sort of just lets it go free. I have some of my best ideas while I'm on those walks, so I've decided that I wanted to get back into that.
I mean, that's something you share with today's guest, Dano Cerny, who is a award-winning music video director and who starts most mornings hiking, listening to songs that have been sent to him to develop music video ideas for.
Yeah, and he said it was discovering that connection with his creative process that really unlocked physical activity for him. He wasn't someone who grew up doing sports. He actually thought they kind of weren't for him. And discovering that it did free up his mind and was a key part of his creative process was a real change for him.
Yeah. Dano has worked with Sia, Kylie Minogue, the Chainsmokers, and he does some really imaginative, just visually striking music videos. So it's cool to talk to him about the process that he goes through with those. It brought me back talking to him about, you know, my lifelong love of music videos and just being a music obsessed kid watching pop-up video on VH1 and MTV and really being raised through those types of channels. It's a really fun episode.
He also made you almost spit out your tea at one point.
I know what you're talking about, and yeah, there are some surprises in store.
Maybe we should get into it.
Let's get into it. Here is Dano Cerny. We like to start by just asking you about your most recent workout, what you did and how it went.
Easy. I have a 60-pound pit bull who keeps me pretty active.
Nice.
So I try to get us both kind of some energy out first thing in the morning. So I'm like up in the hills. So I'm like right by a hiking trail. So I start most of my days with a pretty intensive hike. So that was my last one this morning.
When you say intensive, do you just move pretty fast or?
Yeah, it's fast. It's a very like deep incline. So yeah, it gets the heart rate going and everything engaged.
So like, is hiking your main go-to for exercise these days, or what's it look like?
It's always been a big component of my exercise. Like I love training outdoors in general and just being active outside. But I do a lot of free weights as well. I split it up. I'll do maybe 4 days in the gym and most likely 5 to 6 days with a hike. And it varies how intense that hike is.
Got it. How do you tend to break up your days then in terms of like work versus weights versus hiking?
Yeah, I get up really early because I work in entertainment and I deal with New York and Nashville a lot. So by the time I'm up, I'm already getting a ton of emails. So I try to wake up before all the noise and at least get some kind of activity going. So usually I try to hike first thing when I wake up, and maybe I'll be answering some emails, while I'm doing that. Hopefully not. And I get to just kind of focus on the intensiveness of that, and then I do a couple hours of work, usually until maybe 10:30, 11, and then I'll hit the gym, and then I'll come back, do my protein shake, do another few hours of work.
Is that lunch for you most days, or?
That's lunch for me. Yeah, I try not to go too heavy, especially because I'm working so much too, and I'm at my computer a lot during the day, so there's kind of this feeling of like, oh, you just like eat too much and you kind of just feel heavy sitting there. You
Yeah.
kind of lose that energy. So I tend to save that bigger meal for dinner.
And do you kind of vary what you do for dinner, or is it pretty consistent?
I vary now. I worked with a trainer last year. I'm turning 40 this year, so it was like really important for me to like get in the best shape of my life. So I worked with a trainer who had me on a really intense diet. So I've definitely loosened up from that, but I'm still kind of taking some of the principles in there. But I'm eating carbs now, trying to focus on high protein, nutrient dense foods as much as possible, but I'm not keeping myself from enjoying things at this point.
I mean, I'm kind of curious. Can you give us a glimpse into what that more, I don't know, restrictive or hardcore diet looked like that you were pursuing with the trainer?
Yeah, it was so intense. So I came in there with the goal of really just like wanting to get shredded and again, just best shape of my life. Like, let me do this before I turn 40. But I was only doing cardio at that time. And he put me on a really restrictive, I think 1750 was the calorie mark at first, and pretty much cut out all carbs, really focused on adding lots of like beans to meals, a lot of fiber, and really it was just, protein, cauliflower, rice, vegetables, pretty much for every meal. That was the first time I ever went that intensive with the diet. It almost felt necessary to get that level of shredded.
And how did you feel? Were you sleeping well? Did you have lots of energy?
It's interesting, like I look back and I was so like tight,
Yeah.
and just like that feeling of like strong, but I look back and I was hungry.
I also like hired a trainer kind of around my 40th birthday as well. And he was telling me about how he goes through all of his bulking and like all of his exercises phases for the year so that he's in his best shape for his birthday. Was there some kind of like, was it your birthday itself? Were you taking a trip? Like, was there something that would kind of felt like a coming out party or something like that?
Not necessarily. I think it was like for summertime. So just like wanting to look great and feel great for the summer. And more than anything, adopt a lifestyle shift that was going to kind of bring me into 40. Part of it was the aesthetic for sure, but a lot of it was just realizing that I didn't have the basic kind of understandings of how to incorporate fitness into my day.
That's huge, right? Like just looking at this middle decade, I guess it is, and thinking about how am I going to walk through this door? What are going to be the kind of fundamentals like going through this decade now? Yeah.
Totally. Because, you get tired and you're like, wow, like I feel this already. So I can't imagine what it's going to feel like a few years from now. So what steps can I take? And especially with the line of work I do, it's like, we're on our feet for 14 hours a day on set. Like there is that physical component to where you can really tire yourself out if you don't have that basic physicality that's able to kind of get through those long periods.
Did you kind of like have an idea in the years leading up to your 40th birthday that this was going to be a big goal for you, or did it kind of hit closer to the moment?
I think a little of both. I think in my mind, I've always been active. So I was just like, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there, but I definitely plateaued with my routine.
That's an interesting moment when you're like, no, I actually just need outside help. Like I need someone else to be the disciplinarian and tell me, lay down the law.
Agreed. And I think some people naturally have that. They're just so driven and kind of have that competitiveness within themselves. I don't.
Mm.
So yeah, I knew that I needed someone to hold me accountable. And that was hard for me because I'm like, I'm not great with authority. I don't love people telling me what to do.
Mm.
I'm a director, so I'm usually the one who is doing that. But like moving up in succession with the weights was so challenging, and I'd hit points where I'm like, man, my like bones literally won't carry this much. So just to have that extra push,
Mm.
at some point it switches from the trainer to seeing little results, and those little results growing and growing, and that kind of becoming something, for me at least, who doesn't love being told what to do. It's like, okay, I control this, I see this now, so this is in my hands.
Yeah. And so before that, when you were kind of focused on cardio, was it always hiking or did you mix in like swimming and running or?
It was mainly running and hiking. Yeah, I didn't grow up doing sports. I've always been, the artistic kid,
Mhm.
but I loved being outdoors, and I thrive in that energy creatively. It became something that was part of my creative practice, to go on long walks, to go on hikes, to clear my mind or to connect with creative ideas, more than for health, honestly. And then kind of bringing on the trainer was like the switch.
Yeah. And you're a music video director, so like is music part of your exercise routine? Like do you tend to listen to music when you're hiking or running or?
Yeah, it's a pretty big part of it. Throughout the week, I get lots of tracks sent to me from record labels to pitch on. So sometimes I'll get ideas immediately, and sometimes I really have to listen to a song over and over again to get the
Mm.
idea. So I'll take that song with me on the hike. And there's that difference. You're so in your head, you're pushing something so hard, and then you get into your body and it somehow allows what you've been squeezing out of your brain to
Yeah.
kind of have that room to flow. I started seeing that connection there and was like, cool, if I can just listen to the song in the background without forcing thoughts and instead just focus on my breathing, my body, where that's at, it kind of flowed naturally.
So you are mainly coming up with the idea for the entire music video yourself and then pitching it, right?
Exactly.
It's all vision based. Can you think of like an example of a video that I don't know that either came to you right away or maybe took a little bit more work?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Like, I just did this video with Sia and Kylie Minogue, which was like this really fun dance video. I'm such a huge fan of theirs. But it really took me a while to like sit with the song because they're such creative artists. And like Sia, you kind of have this like visual expectation of who she is. And then Kylie Minogue is already her own like icon level. So it was like, how do I bring these two visual worlds together? So I was really stuck with that. And I really found those ideas on my hike specifically. It became an idea that like evolved building sets and kind of like stylized nature, but it was things that I was kind of pulling from my hike.
Nice. I mean, I think we're pretty close in age. Did you ever watch pop-up video growing up?
Of course. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Making the video, TRL, I mean, there was such reverence for music video back then, so it was a different time.
I grew up on VH1 and MTV and definitely
Same.
pop-up video and just kind of like learning all these random facts about this Cranberries video. Yeah.
Cranberries done. Yeah, you got me.
Has it been like a palpable trajectory for you moving from someone who was like the artsy kid when you were younger to someone for whom like fitness is a more central part of your identity? Like, have you felt that shift over the years? And I don't know, when you were younger, did fitness ever seem like something that would move to the center of your life?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Mhm.
I pictured myself at 40, like in some cafe, chain smoking cigarettes and
Yeah.
doing art in a corner. But yeah, I think I wish I would have realized that being physical was more than just taking part in sports. I think,
Right.
you know, growing up artistic, queer, there's so many things that just make those environments difficult for a kid. So I was
Yeah.
turned off at a young age by that and never really imagined myself being someone who enjoyed being physical. And then I think when it became something for my mental health, something for my creativity, it became more valuable. So yeah, I think it was a big shift that I consider myself someone strong now. And yeah.
That's a great shift, because similarly, when I was growing up, I think a lot of my distaste for that type of culture was due to the fact that it was anchored in sports, like specific sports.
Totally. With sports, it was like, oh, you're good or you're bad, you win or you lose. It felt so black and white. When it's more about just exploring physical activities for yourself, it opens up.
So when was that kind of discovery for you? Was it with running or hiking or kind of both? And was it like in your 20s?
It was soon after high school. I'm Czech originally, and I moved back to Prague after I graduated high school. And, you know, everyone's walking everywhere. So growing up in LA, we didn't walk anywhere.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
true.
being in Europe, walking everywhere and having that, you know, go for miles and the beauty of Prague and going into the forest and kind of really realizing what that was. And then coming back to LA and exploring all the nature that LA has to offer, which I never really knew. And that becomes exciting for someone who wants to work out outside. You know, you suddenly have all these opportunities.
Kind of like the phase that you're in, I'm really interested in that kind of question of how do you find that medium where it's not just about like optimization necessarily, but it's about like how do you feel best and like how is it also meeting the demands of your everyday life?
Totally. It's so that balance. And I think what you just said, like how you feel is the indicator. You can't really bullshit yourself.
Where you're at right now sounds like a pretty good happy medium in terms of carrying some of those nutrition, like core nutrition basics over, and then just mixing in some things that are going to make you less hungry or more satiated.
Exactly. And something that was more maybe realistic for my schedule too. I think
Right.
it's one thing when, you know, you've spent an amount of money on a trainer and you're like, okay, I'm going all in for the next 3 months. You have this kind of time period set in your mind. And then once you're out of those parameters, it's like, how do I bring this into my daily life and make this realistic? So I think that's kind of what shifted.
What does a normal work week look like for you when you're actually working on a video? Are you working on one right now?
I'm not at the moment, but I'm pitching on things.
Okay.
But, you know, last month I had 3 music videos and 1 commercial shooting. So it was a lot. And there was like things overlapping. So you're storyboarding for one project, you're pitching on something else, you're in an edit session for another one. So it's not only like, you know, physically and energetically demanding, but you're really splitting your mind and your focus a lot. And I find that I'm not eating as much, I'm not sleeping as great when those times are happening. So it's kind of I'm in a different mode somehow.
What happens to exercise then? Does it fall by the wayside? Do you kind of insist on getting it in?
It's honestly, the more I'm juggling, it becomes the thing that gets sacrificed, which sucks. I wasn't able to do that when I was training. I really had to find the time no matter what. Now that I'm only holding myself accountable, I kind of look at my day and I'm like, okay, I only have this, this, and this. Like, where are things going to fit in? So it tends to be the thing that gets sacrificed, unfortunately.
So are there other kind of things you live by in terms of nutrition? Like, do you try to avoid snacking or anything like that?
I wish. Yeah. No, I'm pretty okay with it. I don't have a certain time that I cut off eating. If I feel an appetite for something after 10 p.m., I'll let myself, you know, have that. I'm not too restrictive at this point, but I think I have the basic understanding of what's good for my body. So, you know, my midnight snacks are like, you know, protein turkey jerky or like a fiber ball. You know, it's not like I'm going out on French fries or anything. So there's still that kind of basic knowledge. And I'm pretty much fish and chicken. I don't eat red meat for maybe 10 years now. I stopped eating pork a little bit after then as well.
Can you talk a little bit about like the reasons why?
They're so silly. I met a cow that I really got along with. Truth, I don't know how to say it any other way. I was on a ranch visiting someone in Phoenix, and there was a cow on the ranch that I just totally connected with, and I had a different understanding of that relationship with food.
I can see that. I mean, like cows have very expressive eyes.
Yeah, we had this moment, like she was licking my palm, and I was just like, oh, you know, I don't know. Once you really connect with that animal, it's a different experience. And then I had a pug dog that was very pig-like.
Oh, yeah.
She snorted, and she had like the curly tail, and as soon as I made the association, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So it's really just emotional, sensitive reasons that I don't. There's nothing nutritional about it. The truth is I'm avoiding connecting with chickens.
Yeah, it's going to take out a lot of protein for you if you connect with a chicken. Yeah. Can you think of like an especially like euphoric exercise memory?
I don't know if it was the exercise itself or like the experience, but I broke my leg like 10 years ago skateboarding. So I had a really bad knee injury, and I just remember the first time I had a run without pain.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And just that was euphoric in its own sense, just being back in my body. I remember crying and running, and it was just this purely euphoric experience. So just present, so thankful.
Yeah. And similarly, can you think of a time when exercise kind of took you through an especially difficult period?
I mean, again, going back to my leg, like, so I shattered my kneecap and I split my tibia bone.
Wow.
So I was like in a wheelchair for like a month, crutches for several months, and then a cane for like a year. So I was doing a lot of physical therapy, and just that, you know, got me through it. The power of healing, the power of seeing your body progress slowly. I think, you know, we're still pretty young, so there is that feeling of like bouncing back always and kind of being able to jump into things that are a little bit challenging. But at that time, I wasn't able to. I was barely able to do something, you know, a senior citizen could do. So really having to rely on exercise to get me back to myself.
Right. Yeah.
I think it was like as literal of like getting myself out of a dark time with with exercise as possible.
Yeah, no, I bet. Was skateboarding something that you did for a while? Like,
yeah, you know, grew up in LA, so it was just, you know, something I did for fun with friends. On this particular day, was going, you know, cannonballing down a hill in Venice, and for whatever reason, I had just a split second of doubt, and I put my foot down to slow myself down. But I was going so fast that my foot just planted, and the rest of my body kept going, and it just twisted.
Oh, wow. Do you still skateboard?
No, I never got back on.
I mean, that's a pretty traumatic injury. Like, I understand not wanting to get back on, and there's plenty of other stuff to do.
Exactly.
Is there like a kind of exercise you would love to get better at, or love to even like try?
I'd love to get better at tennis. It's something that I've like taken some lessons with. And when I was younger, I did a lot of it. It's something I'd love to get back to. I'm kind of like wanting to find either like jujitsu or taekwondo, some kind of physical practice as well as just training.
What is it that's drawing you to martial arts, do you think?
I think it is the discipline, the routine of it, kind of just having something that you have to show up to, and you don't have to necessarily know everything. Someone's going to be there to lead you.
Do you think it's is the self-defense component something that appeals to you, or is it really mostly just the discipline and the practice?
Just the discipline, really. It's weird. As physical as I am and in the line of work I am, I'm not a competitive person, so I don't really get a kick out of the idea of like, oh, I can defend myself or I can do better than that person. It's really always just been a personal thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. I used to do Aikido at this dojo in
cool.
Brooklyn, and like the sensei relationship was new to me.
Right.
And like the respect like that's demanded in that relationship too. Like we would get on our hands and knees and like scrub with rags like the practice space after every practice. And then we would go upstairs to his apartment and scrub every inch of his apartment.
He got a free cleaning out of you guys.
Well, it felt like that, but until
you realize that it's like a reverence for what you're doing and having.
And that it comes from this like tradition of master student, and the dojo is his house, but it's also kind of like our house, and we're taking care of it because like, yes, he lives there, but it's also just like the place where all of this happens. And when the roof starts to leak, like we all raise money to fix the roof and that kind of thing. And
that's beautiful. That's what's missing, I feel like, in modern physical training. A lot of it has just become for the self.
Yeah, and the showiness maybe a little bit. So we have a speed round that we like to end on.
Let's do it.
Cardio or strength training?
Cardio.
Protein shake or protein bar?
Protein shake.
Cottage cheese or Greek yogurt? Or neither?
Greek yogurt.
Yeah,
I love cheese, don't get me wrong, but yeah, the cottage-y part, not so much.
Yeah, I'm a Greek yogurt guy too. Sauna or cold plunge?
Sauna, love it.
And would you rather meet your artistic hero or your athletic hero?
My artistic hero, with the caveat that I might be disappointed.
What is your preferred weather for runs? Do you like a kind of warm and sunny run, or do you prefer kind of cool and gray?
Cool, overcast, love.
What exercise do you imagine yourself doing in hell?
Never-ending squats.
And then how about heaven?
In heaven, like jumping on a really soft trampoline.
Oh yeah.
Don't ask me those things. My mind's weird.
That's where the magic comes from. And I can see that in one of your music videos too, like a kind of like heavenly.
Yeah, a little surreal.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
Join us next week when we chat with author Laura Vandenberg. We talk to her about how boxing makes for better sleep and more expansive writing. She also clues us in on the misconceptions people have about the skills you really need in the ring. See you then. Secretly Sporty was created and is produced by Sebastian Langdell and Austin Rackless. It's hosted by me, Sebastian Langdell. Edited by Austin Rackless and Andy Rattinger. Our music is composed by Catherine Joy, cover art by Ben Wiseman, represented by Illustration Division Inc. This outro song you're listening to right now is Dano's Theme by Pocket Radio. Special thanks to Liam Billingham and Michael Zoll. Please note that we are not medical professionals nor personal trainers. Not all exercises are suitable for everyone. Always consult a doctor before starting any new exercise routine or nutritional program. The views expressed in this show are those of the show's creators or the guests, and not those of any other entity or institution.